Hello everyone, welcome to C programming. Today we'll go through other important problems with respect to programming, and we'll see or we'll cover all aspects of C, so that we will be clearing with the topics as well as kind of revision. This is a revision kind of thing, so that whatever kind of questions will be asked in interview, and how to solve the problems, that thing we will see in this today's session. The first problem is, welcome to Hello World. In this Hello World program, we'll be asking to write the Hello World. So it's very simple. We need to include stdio.h. After that, main function. In main function, it's a we are taking it as data type of the function is integer, so return value is 0. Once the printf is done, right, hello world, and the percentage n will be then. This why it is getting error is I'm not running the program. I just open it in the text document. That's why. Okay. Next one is print our name itself. To print our name, what we have to do, again the same thing. So hash include stdio.h main function. Let me uncomment it. A clear idea. Hash include stdio.h and main function, and whatever name we are having, that we will be putting at that name and running the program. When you run the program, you will get the answer, the printf, right? Okay, the simple program. Coming to third program, here onwards we'll see different type of programs that have been asked in interviews. Okay, the question is C program to print an integer entered by the user. So we will ask an input to get from the user, and once he entered it, we need to store that input in a variable, and we have to print whatever the value he has entered it. So include stdio.h standard input output header file. After that, we need to run the main function. So inside the main function, we are writing taking a variable integer number. Num is a variable. The data type of it is integer. We are asking user to enter the number. So we are asking user to enter the number, so he will be entering the number. So based on that, we will be storing that data inside this number variable. Once the data is getting stored, so we are printing the number, whatever the variable. This is how we will print the data. So format specifier is %d and the variable num. So this is how we will print the data. Next is C programming to check whether the number is prime or not. So entered number, we will ask user to enter the number. That number we have to check whether it is a prime number or not. Okay, how we are doing it is, we need to take stio.h. We need to take stdio.h and main function. In main function, in that I'm taking some of the flags. So one is a variable number, I is another integer, and flag is another variable. We are highlighting whether after doing the computation, whether the given number is prime number or not. That it will be shown based on the flag updation. Okay, first we will run, when you run the program printf, so we'll ask the user to enter the number. So once he enters the number using scanf, we take the number and store in a number variable. So here comes the iteration part. So I'm taking a for loop and iterating over it. So inside this for loop, right? For loop, I is equal to 2, I less than or equal to number. So why we are not starting with 0? The reason here is the given problem statement is a prime number. Prime number always starts with 2 because 1 is also a prime number, right? So that's the reason we will not take 1 from 1. If you take 1 is a prime number from 1, then obviously every number, whatever it is taken, even though the number provided by the user is also a prime number, still it will show 1 as prime number every time. To avoid that scenario, we will take the 1. After that, here we are doing some logic. The logic is basically very simple logic. So what we are doing is we are dividing the number by 2. That's an integer division. So once we divide the number by 2, then we will get the value. If that value is as simple as equal to 2, then we are incrementing and pre-incrementing the variable I and going inside. Once you get the remainder, right? The remainder, let's say the remainder is 2. That 2 and given 2, pre-incrementing the value. If that remainder is 0, then we are taking it as prime number. So how we are identifying? We are identifying here using a flag. If, and we are breaking the clause. So if flag is equal to double is equal to 0, that means the given number, the number whatever is number, that number is a prime number. Else it is not a prime number. Okay. This is how we will check whether it is a prime number or not. It's a pseudo code. Okay. Next one is C program to multiply two floating point numbers. Floating point numbers are the numbers wherein which it will have decimals as well, right? So floating point multiplication we will see now. So again stdio.h inclusion we have to do because we need to take inputs from the user, right? That's the reason we will take stdio.h. Again main function, int main function, then float number 1, number 2 and product. These are the three variables we are considering. So as it is a question itself is a floating number, so I have to take a data type called float, not integer, because in integer we don't have decimals, right? To access or to store the decimal formats, then we have to take a data type called float. So number 1, number 2, and once the product is done, floating point product is also a floating point again. So that's the reason we are taking another variable called product. Now initially we will ask user to enter the two numbers. So while he enters it, right, we are storing that in number 1 and number 2 using scanf function. Once you take it, find out the product is equal to number 1 into number 2, and we store that data inside the product. So we are printing that product using printf statement. This is how we have to use. And one thing is, if you observe, right, the format specifier is percentage f, not percentage d. If you take percentage d, then it is an integer. Percentage f, then that is a float. It represents a float. Next program is C program to print ASCII value. C program to print ASCII value of a character. So let's take, we want, what is ASCII first of all? ASCII is an American standard for written for alphabets and numbers. It will have several amount of data. It will have lower alphabets, higher alphabets, special character. Every special characters or every character will have associated number to it, right? So that standardized definition will be given by ASCII. Why this is needed in the first place? So this is needed because human beings can find out by seeing the character, but a machine cannot find out it's a character, right? For that purpose, a machine will understand only zeros and ones. It will have, you should have a numerical number. For that purpose and reason, we are mapping all these characters, right, into a numerical digits. So the numerical digit will be mapped to this character. Every numerical digit, every character will be mapped to a numerical digit. For that purpose, this ASCII standard came into picture. Now, how we are showing it? So we take an input from the user and we convert that into a ASCII and we are printing it. So how that conversion happens, we'll see. First of all, again, slash include stdio.h. Inclusion we have to take. Then after that, int main function and character ch. After that, printf, using printf, we are asking user to enter a special character. After that, we are having scanf and store while reading, while you want to read the character whatever user has, entered. Using scanf function, we store that data in the variable ch, right? Inside the variable ch. So this ch is the character entered by the user. Now how we are converting that in a ASCII format? Very simple. The ASCII value of ch is a format specifier, right? Our format specifier ch. So percentage C is a character for format and is equal to percentage D. So this is the format specifier which for integer, which converts the character to integer, right? That's how we are doing it here. Next one is a program to swap two numbers. To swap two numbers, we have several types, right? One is taking temporary variable and swapping, assigning the first variable value to the temporary variable and copying the second value to the first value and again copying the third value to the second value. That is how we will swap the numbers. So that's logic only we are following here. Again, take three variables, number one, number two, and temporary variable. Ask user to enter the numbers. So using scanf, read the numbers, number one and number two, using scanf. So once you read the numbers and stored in the number format, number one and number two. Now what you have to do is you have to assign the number one value to the temporary variable. Now number one value you will assign with number two. Number two, whatever value it has, it will be assigned to number one. And whatever value that is stored in temporary variable will be assigned to number two. That's how we are swapping the data from number one to number two. And at the end, after swapping, we just print number one and number two because number one holds number two data, number two holds number one data. That's how it happens. Okay. Next one is C program to calculate Fahrenheit to Celsius. So Celsius reading is in Indian standard format and Fahrenheit is the American standard format. So how to convert this conversion? So we'll see the program. Now include stdio.h. In main function, we are taking two variables. As these is temperature related variables, so it will have decimals. For that purpose, I have taken float variable. So database float variable. Now we are asking user to enter the temperature. So user will enter the temperature. For the purpose, we are printing this sentence, enter temperature in Fahrenheit. So we are asking user to enter the temperature in Fahrenheit. So for that Fahrenheit, we are storing the data as this is a decimal number. So we are storing in Fahrenheit and format specifier is percentage of because the data type is float. Okay, that is the reason we are specifying it as percentage of and we are storing this data. So to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, this is the formula. The formula is very simple, F minus 32 into 5 by 9. If you want Fahrenheit to Celsius, simple again 9 by 5. So F, so this is for Celsius, right? Now for Fahrenheit, so we will take Celsius 9 into Celsius by 5 whole data, we add 32. This is how we'll convert Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. Okay, these are the formulas that we have to remember. Now we'll print the data, temperature in Celsius and temperature in Fahrenheit, the same format. As this is a numerical format and it's a decimal data, so we need to perform percentage F as format specifier. Okay, and we enter return 0 because the function format is integer. Next is C program to find the size of integer, float, double, character. While we are discussing the data type topic, we told that integer is a 4 byte, float is a 4 byte, double is 8, character is 2 bytes. Now we will see how this size, whatever told in the topic, right? Whether the same size is coming or not, how to check it. It's very simple. So hash include stdio.h, again we need to ask input from the user. So we are using this inclusion header and int main printf size of int. It is percentage d bytes. Now size of is a function which calculates the size of a particular data type variable. So we are asking to enter an integer. So that integer we are calculating and we are plotting it. But here if you see, right, this is an integer. Directly you can pass size of function accepts the data type, whatever data type that is being given into the function. You no need to take any input from the user. Directly it will pass and we can print it. So size of integer, size of float, size of double, size of character. This is how we can print it and we can return it. Next one is C program to print prime number from 1 to n. N is here the input given by the user. Let's say user enter 1000. We need to print all the prime numbers between 1 to 1000. So how to do this problem? This problem is pretty important problem, I can say. So hash include stdio.h int main. I'm taking three variables here, integer variables I, j, n. So here n is nothing but from to two element. So till what number we have to print the prime numbers that we need to get from the input from the user. So using printf, we'll take the enter number. So that number whatever entered by the user will be stored in n using scanf. Then we are printing n numbers between 1 to n using this logic. Now again it's a prime number, right? So it should start from 2 and less than I less than n. N is till what number user wants to print. It's a pre-increment. Then integer is prime. If integer is prime, then it is 1. This is a flag. Is prime is a flag. We are initially keeping it as 1. If it is not prime, then it will be converted to 0. If it is a prime, then it will be converted to 1. So to definition of prime is very simple. Remainder, when it divides with 2, the remainder should be 0. So for that logic, we are taking here for loop. J is equal to 2 starts from 2 and we divide that with 2 and stored that in j. So once that increments, then it goes if j I divided by j, I is also 2, j is also 2. If both are 2, 2 divided by 2, obviously the remainder is 0 or whatever the number. Let's say it has 4 or 6 or 8 or 10. Then 10 divided by 2, 5. 5 divided by 2 will be 0. So it's a prime number. If it is not prime number, then it won't be taking it as 1. So once that is done, this for loop is done, number of iteration. Then in using if loop, if this is true means the flag value is 1, then it will print that it's a prime number entered by the user, else it's a not prime number. This is how we will print it. Next one, C program to check whether a number is positive, negative or 0. So we need to take input from the user and we need to check whether it is a positive number, negative number or 0. So again take integer variable number, asking the user, storing that number whatever entered by the user in number variable. Now using if condition, we will calculate it. If number is greater than 0, then it's a positive number. Less than 0, negative number, and 0 else condition is if he enters 0, then it's a 0 itself, right? So if you consider this, let me show you and running the program. Okay. Okay, this is how, if the number is given, that number is printing the data or not. So if that number prints it, then it will be stored, or else it will not store the data, right? So the next one is the output I have stored here. Enter number is 7. If that number is 7 is a positive number greater than 0, right? That's why it will print as positive number. Next one is C program to check whether the number is even number or odd number. We have to ask the user, he will enter the number. I will store the number in num variable. If that number variable, I take the number variable and perform a division operation. So in the division operation, if it is 2 divided by 2, double is equal to 0. That means the remainder is 0. Then it's an even number. If remainder is not 0, then it's an odd number. So the output of format of it is, we enter a 15 number. Then 15 divided by 2, you will get remainder as 1, right? So that's why it is an odd number. It's not an even number. Next program, C program to calculate sum of natural numbers. So you want to calculate sum of natural numbers. That means we will ask from user till what number you want to add, till what number you want to calculate the sum of the all the numbers. So for that purpose, we ask user using printf function enter positive integer. We are taking two variables here, n and sum is equal to 0. N is till the number what he wants to add. So the user wants to add. So the input from the user will be stored in n. Now we will iterate from 1 till n. So sum plus I is equal to I. This is nothing but sum is equal to sum plus I. Sum is equal to sum plus I. This is how we will calculate it. So once that is done, so we will print the sum of the natural numbers from 1 to n with sum is equal to 0. So this is how we will print the data final amount. So n and the value. So let's say you add the output of it is, you entered a positive number 5. Now 1 to 5 we have to take. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. We will get the answer as 15. Okay. Next one is C program to print alphabets from A to Z using loop function. We have to print the alphabet from A to Z using loop function. Now again we are taking a variable called character ch, and data type of it is char. We are printing number alphabets from A to Z. Now for character is equal to A, character less than or equal to Z, and plus plus character. We just take and we will print the data. So how it knows from what to what? It's very simple. It has ASCII standards of storing it. That is the reason it automatically increments from A plus B plus C plus so on and all. So after A, it will go to B. After B, it will go to C. After C, it will go to D. So character increment, right? So that's the reason we'll print it after immediately, and you'll get the output. Output shows like this. Alphabet from A to Z is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, and so on till Z. So you'll get all these numbers. So one logic here is you no need to convert it. You just have to give the start and end. For loop always takes the start and end. If you know start and end, then you prefer for loop. Okay, if you don't know the end point, then prefer while loop. Next one is store information in a structure and display it. Let's see that. 1 second, let me comment over this. Yep. Yep. Storing information in a structure and displaying it. For that purpose, we need to take a variable, structure variable using struct keyword, and student is a variable, structure variable, and it has some data which is first name, roll number, and their marks. So here I'm considering the hard code value 5 students. So I'm having 5 students in my class. So I'm storing all this data of the student. So let's see that. Okay. So int main function, int I, temporary variable I, and we're displaying that enter the information for the student. We'll ask from the user to enter the information from the user for storing that information. First we will take a for loop because we need to iterate 5 students data on the structure, right? That's the reason. So I is equal to 0 till I is equal to 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 iteration will be happen in a for loop. Okay. So roll number also gets incremented one by one. So from 0, we are taking s of I dot roll is equal to I is equal to I plus 1. That is nothing but initial I is equal to 0, right? It gets increment and one value gets stored in the 0th index. First student's roll number is starting with 1. So we'll print that for roll number 1, first name. We'll ask what is the name of the student. Then user will enter the name and that name will be stored in this first name. Then we will ask for the marks. The user will enter that marks value will be storing over here. So your next is printf display information. For that, it will take 5 iteration and store all the 5 students data. And now we need to display that data, right? So for that using again I is equal to 0 and I less than 5 and post pre-increment I plus plus. So printf I plus 1. So for the first student, what is the name and what is his marks? We just puts. So scanf we are using to scanf. Puts is nothing but it will print the value whatever there in this structure. Okay, let's run this. Generated an object file, then running the file. So it is asking for the first roll number. What is the name? Let's take the name is Vamsi. Okay, marks he got is 80. Now for the second person is Sai. Marks he got is 82. Third person is Danish. Divya, I'll take Divya. Her marks is 87. Fourth person is Rupa. Marks is 90. Fifth person is Shiva. Marks is 100. So once we enter it, so it took all the 5 people's data. Now for printing it, it should print all the data. If you see it, it got printed. So till Shiva, the information is there. Now displaying information for this information, first person, Vamsi, he got 80 marks. As I have taken a float variable, right? That's the reason 80.0 is getting printed. Next, second person is Sai. So data is 82.0. Next is third person is Divya, 87.0. Fourth person is Rupa, 90 marks. Fifth person is Siva, 100 marks. So this data is getting printed. So whatever data it is taken, and at the end it is printing the data as it is. Okay. This is how we can store the data and print the data from the student data. Next one is demonstrating dynamic allocation of a structure. So dynamic allocation, you know, remember, right? So if you don't know how much amount of data memory you want to initialize, then whenever there is a need, we will do this allocation using dynamic allocation. So malloc, calloc, etc. Those are the several functions we used in dynamic allocation. Let's go one by one. So inclusion is studio.io, stdio.h, std library.h, Now we are taking one structure for course, marks, and the corresponding subjects. Your subject is a character, so subject name which has an array of strength of 30. In main function for the course, we'll take in a pointer and in number of records. So number of records we'll have to ask. So number of records you want to store for a particular course is user will enter that number of records. So for that purpose, we will take the structural pointer, struct pointer course of malloc, how many records you have, you want to allocate the number of size. For that will be depend on the user input. So user input into the size of structure of course. So let's say user is asking to enter 5 people's data, so we have to create 5 data structures, right, for respective structure. So that's the reason memory allocation depends on the number of records entered by the user, and each record will have the size of this structure. That is the reason we multiplied it. So once the for loop I int I is equal to 0, I less than number of records. Till how many records we have to iterate, and we'll ask that data from the user. User will enter the data and we will store the data in a structure. So if you see it, how we are storing, percentage S is for string, percentage D is for the data. So the subject and the marks. As this is a pointer, we cannot access dot parameter. We have to access like this in the structure. So pointer plus I marks for the structure. Plus I is nothing but why we are incrementing here, because we need to increment the index of the structure member one by one. So that's the reason it starts with 0. So we are incrementing with plus I. So once that is done, we save the records in the structure. Then we will displaying the records from the structure. How we are displaying it? Again, the same format, I is equal to 0, number of records. Every record we will read it and we are printing that data using this stretch. For subject name we are taking as, for value it will be taken as D. Stash T is just for tab format specifier. To maintain the space between one value to another value, we'll use slash T, and slash in for the next line, one by one. So for every record we'll keep the name as subject and how many marks it got. At the end, we allocated the data, right? What is the best practice? Once you allocate the data and your need is successfully completed, then we have to, release the data memory. So for that, we use free pointer, free allocation point function, and you just pass the pointer. Okay. So this is how malloc works. And return 0. When you run this thing, I'll just show running this. Okay. It is asking to, the user how many records are needed. Let's say 2 records. Okay. What is the subject? Enter subjects and marks as well. So I'll enter the subject as math, mark is 12. Second record is science, that is 15. Okay. Again, now enter subject and marks. This is for social. Records are 2. Subject is math. And the value is 12. And science 15. Just enter it. You will see the displayed information. Math corresponding tab and you will get 12. Science corresponding tab and you will get 15. Okay. The corresponding values are there. Let's say you run for 10 subjects. Per semester, let's say we are having more than 2 subjects, right? This I will give 8 record subjects. So first one is language. Let's say I am having Telugu. Okay. I got 75 marks in it. Next subject is English. I got 80 marks in it. Next subject is math. I got 90 marks in it. Next is science. I got 30 marks, 50 marks in it. Next is biology. I got 89 marks in it. Next is social. I got 90 marks in it. Next is chemistry. I got 80 marks in it. Next subject is drawing. I got 760 marks in it. So after entering the data, we'll see all the data and corresponding marks. So in Telugu, I got 75. I entered Telugu and got 75, right? English 80, Maths 90, Science 50, Biology 89, Social 90, and Chemistry 90, 80, and Drawing is 60. This is how it will be displayed. Okay. So initially, if you see, right, the structure, I am not giving any size also. But how this is getting allocated? This is getting allocated because of this malloc. So dynamically, the size gets allocated. This is one perfect example for that. Next one is this. Enter, write a sentence. One second. Yeah, write a sentence to a file. This file IO operation. Let's see it. So stdio.io.h and stdlibrary.h. So in the main function, we are taking away array variable, sentence, and its data type is character array, and the size of it is 1000. Now we are creating a file pointer. So while we are working with files, we need to use a file pointer to access, write, read, and perform any data or append any sentence or value inside the file. We need to use the file pointer. So how to do it? File data type, file, and pointer name. So this is the pointer. Now to open the file, we need to open fpointer fopen program txt with the mode. What is here? The mode is here writing mode. We have reading mode, writing mode, append mode, read byte. So here W, if we are giving just W, then it opens in text format. So for a file operation, we are having two formats, right? One is text format, another is a binary format. So if you give W, then it's a text format in writing mode. If you give R, then text format reading mode. And then if you want to open in a binary format, then you have to give WB. If you want to read the data in a binary format, then you have to give RB like that. So we are taking, if the file is having nothing, then if it is not able to open it, then you will get the null pointer. So it says that unable to open. So we are printing it as error and we are exiting the code. Now, if you able to open it correctly, then we are asking if the user enter a sentence. So we will get the sentence using fgets. Fgets is a file gets. Okay. This sentence, the size of the sentence std in, standard input from the sentence. Next is fprintf. Fprintf is nothing but it will write into the file. So pointer and the sentence of it. Okay. Then fclose is file close. Once it is written, just it should close the file. So it will close the file. Let me run the code and show it to you. It is asking to write a sentence. Welcome to the class of C programming. So it's done. So you just go to the directory and see the program.txt file. Just open it. You will see, right? Welcome to the class of C programming. So whatever you have written, it is getting stored in program.txt. So to check it out, again you have to run the things, and now we'll change the sentence. I am in Andhra Pradesh having huge rains now. So we just open it again and see I'm in Andhra Pradesh having huge rains now. Whatever the data is there, that will, happen. Now if you see, right, previously I'm having one sentence. Now the data is cleared out and it is written with second sentence. Mm, Let's say I want, previous sentence is also being written without deleting the previous sentence, and new sentence has to be written. So for that you have to open it as an append mode. Okay, just run it again. So the sentence is myself C instructor. Okay, I'll just open the file. You see, previous sentence is also there and my new sentence is also there. This is how it will happen. It won't delete the previous thing. So the file pointer points to the end of the file and it appends the data in it. If you run it again, now C class tells, okay, sorry. Today's class, we are learning file IO operations coding. If you just open it again, program.txt. So the previous sentences are there and new sentences are coming. Okay. This is how file operations are getting handled. We know it. Right. Now the next one. Next one is a palindrome. So what is palindrome? Palindrome, we'll see the program. You are given with a string. You take the string and you will is if you see the string from left to right or right to left, then if you feel the sentence or the string is same, then that is called palindrome. This is palindrome. Now we have to implement that in C coding. How we can do it? Let's see. So hash include stdio.h, string.h, and C type.h. They are taking one more extra inclusion, C type.h. So this is taken because to use is alpha, is lower, to lower, those functions to be used, right? For the purpose, we are taking C type.h. Now one user defined function I am taking, which is integer. Data type of the function is integer, and is palindrome is a user defined function. We have to write the function now. In that, I have considered an argument character string is an array. So data type of it is character and array name is a string, and it doesn't have any size. Size is dynamically calculated. Now inside the function, we are taking two variables. One is left is equal to 0. So from the left, it starts with 0 index. That's the reason we are taking 0. Next integer right. In the right, we are using something called string length. String length is nothing but string length. So whatever string that is getting passed, we have to calculate the size of it. So for that purpose, number of characters inside the string being calculated using this function string length. You have to pass the array str to it. So we are subtracting 1. Why we are subtracting? Because we are taking from 0th index. That is the reason we are subtracting 1. Let's say you are having a string called, like this example, QWER. Okay. So here Q is 0th index and W is 1 index, E is 2 and R is 3. But conventionally what we think, Q is 1, W is 2 like that, right? And R is 4. So to avoid that confusion, we are considering it from 0th index. That's why left is 0 and right is -1 position. So to do that, I have used right like this, assign right value. So the size of the string is getting calculated using string length and subtracting the data from it, -1. Now what I'm doing, I'm iterating using while loop. I'm iterating using while loop till when. So from right to left or left to right, because we started with left index 0, right? So like that. So left less than right. Till this condition is true, the loop gets iterated. So that it will be, let's say the string size is 5. So this loop gets iterated 5 times from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here again I have one more while loop. Is alpha. Is alpha is a function which calculates whether it is a alphabet or not. If it is a number or if it is a special character like that is also there, right? So that one we need to avoid it. We just take is alpha and string of it, then we will increment the left. So one by one. If it is not alpha, then it will decrement right. Okay, right and left we are considering. So from left also we are calculating, right also we are calculating, and we are incrementing and decrementing. So once it is done, then we will check. We'll check two lower. Two lower is nothing but we are converting. Let's say the user is entering the character not in a given fashion. Let's say he entered one letter, one character with capital letter, one character with small letter, again capital letter and small letter, and so on. So it is very difficult to calculate it, right? To find out the difference also. Now to avoid that situation, we are converting everything in lower characters. So left characters and right characters, we are calculating lower characters. So that if all the left characters and right characters are not equal, then it's not a palindrome. If both are equal, then it's a palindrome, right? That's why if it is not equal, we are returning 0. 0 represents when this function is called, 0 tells that it's not a palindrome. And if it is a not 0, that means if it is able to do it, then it's a will return with a 1. That means it's a palindrome function. Now actual function gets called in main function. In the main function, the string character str100. So string size is 100 we are considering, and we are asking user to enter the string. Once that is given, we are reading using gets function. Strings will use to gets the function. So it will directly copy that value, whatever entered by the user, into this array string. Now we are calling the function is palindrome function. So if the return type of this function, when it is the array is passed to the string, so it performs all these checks. If this returns 0, that means it's not a palindrome. If it is 1, then it's palindrome. So if it's written 1, then if of 1, which is true, that means it will say that it's a palindrome. If of 0, then it's not a palindrome. This is how it works. Let's run this and check it out. To run the file, we have to first create the object file. So for that, make function is needed. So object file is created. After that, we have to run the object file. So it will ask you the string. Enter a string. Let me add the string as A, B, C like this. Okay. B and capital A. Okay. Now if this is a palindrome or not, we'll check. So it says that it is palindrome. The reason is if you see right from left ABC, BA and right also ABC, BA. So both are coming. So I have, if you see this, I have given here one capital letter and one small letter. One capital letter, one small letter like this. So to avoid that confusion, we are considering everything as 2 lower. If you see one more thing, I'll run it again, but my input now changes. A, B, capital C, B, A. So still it will say it's a palindrome. The reason is it won't consider the type of the character. Let's say it's a higher character, or I means upper character or lower character. Even though it just converts everything into lower and prints the data. So that will be done over here. This is the safest thing, because the reason is the question is asked whether the string is palindrome or not. That's it. Irrespective of the functionality of higher or lower, we have to check. If in the question, if that is asked, if it is a, if check the functionality based on higher and lower also, then we need to, we have to omit this condition. 2 lower condition we have to omit. Then only we have to check whether left to right all the characters are same. Let's see if I just remove this 2 lower condition here and just save it. Okay. Again, make the function and run the function. It will ask me the string. Now, if you see the condition, if I give like this, then what happens? It will say it's not a palindrome. The reason here is, even though if you read it, right, A, B, C, B, A, still A, B, C, B, A in the both sense, but the upper character and lower characters are not matching here. First one is capital A, at the last it is small a. Next is small b, and at the last, before last is capital B. So this is how it is not matching. To avoid this confusion, that is the reason we are keeping here 2 lower function. Okay, based on the requirement, based on the question that is asked, you have to include this 2 lower. There is something called 2 upper also. You can use either of them. You can use 2 lower means everything gets calculated and change to lower alphabets. If you use 2 upper, everything is changed to upper alphabets. So this is how upper alphabets everything and lower alphabets everything will come. Why we are doing this? The first question comes into picture. So to unify the total characters, we are bringing everything into upper characters, or we are bringing everything into lower characters. So this is how we are solving the problem. Hope this is clear. Moving to the next one, character reversal. How we can switch the character from left to right, right to left, and we will change one by one. stdio.h and string.h. We'll take the function reverse string, and it's a void function. That means it won't have any return type. In this, we are considering an argument. We need an argument to be passed in the function. That argument, the data type of the argument is char, and it's an array, string array. The size is not defined. User will consider the size of the file while it is passing. We are taking here again the same thing, the left and right. So we need to reverse the string, right? For that purpose, we are considering left and right as well. So the left string and the right string. So string length again str minus 1. As it starts with 0 indexing mechanism, so the string length, the total string length till at the end, it will be calculated. Okay. Now it's very simple. We need to change it, right? We will take one temporary variable from the left to right. So left less than right. Till it reaches to right, extreme right, then the loop will break. So once it goes inside, now character temp is a temporary variable of character. So we'll take the str left one, and str left is assigned with str right, then str right is assigned with left tr temp. So again it will get incremented one by one. So once it is done, Left we have to increment, right we have to decrement, so that the pointer will be moving from one character to next character like this, one by one, till it reaches to the end. So this is the using temporary variable we have implemented this function reverse string. Now int main function and character string array of size 100. So printf enter the string. We are asking user to enter the string. Now we are reading the string array as its array, so we have to use gets. And we are calling reverse string function and passing the argument the string array. Once this is done, we will print the data str. As this str is present, we are considering the data str, reversing the string. Okay, let us run this program and see whether it works properly or not. So make, now we run the code. Myself, I will tell it as this is a string given, it will tell in the reverse way. So AS and all in the reverse way it got printed. See, right? I'll run it with another one. IAS, SCI and IAS gets printed. This is how the reverse string gets printed one by one. And the same question can be solved using recursion also. How we do the recursion? The recursion function, you take the function, okay, reverse string, and your character gets taken, and you call the function in return value saying that again you pass one by one character into the same function. Once the character is given, then that's it. We'll get the data. Okay. With that, we'll take one more program. Classification. Oh. Okay, we'll create one more thing. Here only we'll write a program. Now, the question is, you want to print a program to find out the pattern. Okay, let's run. First of all, I will run the code and you will see what type of pattern it is getting printed. Let me take, stop it. Okay, view, terminal. Right. So I want 5 rows. So if you see, right, the pattern is like this. So first row 1, second row 2 stars, third row 3 stars, fourth row 4 stars, fifth row 5 stars. This pattern we have to print. Now we'll see how we have achieved using this code using a for loop. The first one, int main function. In that we have taken 3 variables. One is I, j, and rows. So we are asking how many rows you want to fill this pattern. So first row, second row, third row, user has entered 5 rows, right? The 5 rows user has entered. So in these 5 rows, we have to print the pattern one by one. Okay. So we'll ask the user to enter number of rows is needed. Then we store that value in this variable rows. We store this value in this variable rows. Now we will iterate. So as if you remember, right, this is looking like a matrix application, rows and columns. So rows will be taken as I, j, columns is taken as j. So from I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to rows. So these many rows I have to iterate one by one. So row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5 like that, right? So I have taken the extreme position, the end position is rows. Next one is for j. J is equal to j less than and I position. Till I position for the first row, 1 star only. For the two rows, 2 star. For three rows, 3 stars like that. Okay. And at the end, we are printing the printf one by one. At the end, again, for the first for loop, we are incrementing to the next line, right? That's why we have taken slash n. If you run it again and give the rows as 10, let's say take in 100. So 100 values getting printed over here. One by one the row data is getting printed. So 1 till here, and again it's getting incremented like this. If you run it again and keep 15 till 15, the row data gets printed. So if you see now you have seen for row data, right? How you want to see for the row data? So till I to row you have calculated, right? Now let's say you want to print from 1 to f but with incremented order. How many things are there? That many number of times you want to print, right? Like kind of number of rows and number of columns also same. For that purpose, then you have instead of I, you will keep just j, which is row number. Now let us run it. I want 5 rows. If you see, right, I will get a box type. The same number of iterations I have taken and enter it. So rows and columns are equal. As rows and columns are equal, my number of 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 with 5 rows and 5 columns gets printed. Let's say I want only the rows to be printed, but columns has to be changed. In that situation, again the same thing. I'll take I'll take oh yeah, I did a mistake here. I to j. Now j I have to assign with 0. If I increment here, I'll get the necessary value. It will ask me how many as I want. I just be 5. Then the respective data gets printed over here, right? This is how this gets incremented. So let's say one more thing. It's an operation, right? Again, at the end of the day, we can tweak whatever data you want. Let's say I want only some columns and some rows. Let's say I want columns here. It's a user application, right? It purely depends on the user inputs. So I want this data to be, given by the user. So what I will do is I will ask the user to provide me the number of rows and number of columns. Rows and columns here. So I will store once I received it, I'll just store here the number of rows and number of columns here. So if you see right now, this is different type of situation. So user will enter how many rows he need and how many columns he need. Let's say he want 3 rows, 5 columns. So horizontal 3 rows, vertical 5 columns. Let me cancel it. So horizontal 3 rows and vertical 5 columns. So 3 rows will be there and 5 columns are coming. Very good. Now we'll run it again and see 6 rows and 7 columns. This is how it will come. Okay. We want, there is one more thing called these two rows gets accumulated, right? If row and corresponding columns you want input from the user, you can take it. Or else you will have something called fixed thing. Then what you have to do, you just have to type here the fixed value is let's say 10. You know the value columns are 10. So you don't want to ask the user. Just you change the function here, and percentage %d is also not there, and just tweak the value. That's it. Again, you make the function. Now you run the code. Okay, it will just ask the rows only to enter. Let's say I have 10 rows. Now for the 10 rows and corresponding columns are 10, right? So columns are 10 columns will come in vertical and 10 rows will come in horizontal. This is how you can change or tweak your problem based on your need that is being asked. Okay. Now one more question comes. They will ask different types of patterns also here. Then how to deal with that type of patterns. In the previous situation, let me take it now. In this situation, now 5 rows and 5 columns continuously stars we are printing it. But let's say you want to print in different type of format. You want to print in a different type of format. How to do it? So this is very easy. How to do it is very easy. You take 10 columns and you print the respective data in it, right? Okay. Now in this, instead of this, they're asking to print like this. Okay. You just run it and make function and executable, and then executable. It will ask 4 rows. This is how it gets printed for the 4 rows. Like this also, this can be asked. These are several, printed things that been asked in the questions. Different examples, okay? So now here, make executables, again executables. I'll take 5 rows. If you see, right, 5 by 5, it is coming. We can ask n number of questions on top of it also. Okay, till this, I am closing out this session. So with this, our C programming is completed and we are deal with C programming all the